Welcome to Barca News. It is September 19th, 2025. And we got a little bit of a scare with Pau Cubarsi. Also, bad news because Barcelona's salary limit has dropped. And finally, Vlahovic on Deco's list for next summer. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Bo, and this is the Barca News Live Podcast, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but we also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering any questions, and getting the discussion going. For those of you who will be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news. Having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. It's free, it takes a second, it helps the channel grow. If you're looking for any Barcelona jerseys, merchandise from any football team around the world or any sport for that matter, you can go to GoKits, Kitbag, or Fanatics. And finally, if you want to place any sports bet, not just on Barcelona matches, but on any sporting event around the world, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. You click on them, you get access to cool deals, offers, and in case of bet us, free money just for clicking the link. All right, having said all that, let's begin with the news. And well, as always, the first segment of news is comprised of multiple bits of news combined together for the sake of brevity. It's starting with the news that the Champions League Team of the Week has been announced. And check out who made the list. No other than our own Marcus Rashford, after those two incredible goals that single-handedly gave Barcelona the victory in their first Champions League match against Newcastle, 1-2 at St. James. And well, Barcelona took home three very important points. Now, if you haven't seen the post-match live analysis, it is on the channel where I analyze the Barcelona match against Newcastle. Now, let's look at the team of the week because we have Rulli, the Marseille goalkeeper. By the way, I did not fully watch that match, but I watched the highlights. He did have one incredible match against Real Madrid. Of course, they ended up getting robbed with that penalty, but that's just how it works with Real Madrid. But yet, they always claim to be the victim. We have Llorente making the list. Incredible match. He had, was it one or two? I think he scored both goals, or did he just score one goal? He might have scored both goals against Liverpool. Excellent match by Llorente. Lucasen and Van Dijk as the two center backs. Van Dijk is scoring the winning goal for Liverpool. And then we have Mboji. And then in the midfield, Trincao, the former Barcelona player. Trincao has been doing really well with Sporting CP. Of course, Barcelona were hoping that he would be sold so they can make half of that. But Barcelona ended up selling his rights back to Sporting CP this summer. We have Bicalo and Van Aken, and of course, Marcus Rashford, and up front, Kane and Thuram. Let me know, of course, your thoughts and opinions about, do you agree with this list? Do you think someone else should have been included? Do you think someone on there should not be included? Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this once it ends. Now, speaking of the match against Newcastle, of course, Barcelona had a very hard-fought match against Newcastle, especially defensively. During the first half, Newcastle were constantly putting pressure on Barcelona. Barcelona were not able to get past that pressure, and as a result, Newcastle were able to create a lot of chances. And thankfully, our defensive line was absolutely superb, including, of course, Pau Cubarsi, who looks like he did receive a knock during that match. He ended the match with discomfort, and this, of course, raised the alarm bells at Barcelona, given how important Cubarsi is. But thankfully, they've done exams. He is not injured. It's simply a knock. So today, of course, was the recovery session. As you know, after a match, the following day, there's usually a recovery session. It's not the same as regular practice or training. This is specific exercises, stretching exercises, other kinds of exercises to help the body recover from the fatigue of a match. And during the recovery session, Pau Cubarsi trained on his own because, again, Barcelona being cautious. They want him to fully recover from the knock. We'll see whether he'll start this weekend against Getafe. My guess probably maybe not, just to be cautious. I would after all, but we'll see what happens. But don't worry, Cubarsi is not injured. He simply has a knock, and that's why he trained on his own today. Now, continuing on the topic of the Champions League. Of course, we beat Newcastle, and the second challenge, or the next challenge in the Champions League, will be against the current champions, PSG, which will be the first home match in the Champions League. And as you might recall, I told you in a previous video that that match will be at Montjuic. Now, even though Barcelona's goal is to return to the Camp Nou by the Real Sociedad match, which is before the PSG match, Barcelona had still decided that they were going to play at Montjuic. Why? Well, two reasons. If, and this is a huge if Barcelona go back to the Camp Nou by the Real Sociedad match, it's going to be the Phase 1A, which is only 2 sections behind south goal and left side section that can only house 27,000 people. Now, there are 2 problems with this, with Phase 1A. Number one is that phase is not approved for the Champions League. In order for the Camp Nou to be used in the Champions League, they have to be back in Phase 1B, which is 45,000 people, not 27. And that includes the section behind south goal and the 2 lateral sections. That's what is needed for the stadium for Camp Nou to be approved by UEFA. The second reason why Barcelona had also decided to play at Montjuic, even if they're back to Camp Nou by the Real Sociedad match, is of course that there is an agreement amongst European teams in the Champions League where the local team has to allot a certain amount of tickets for the visiting team. And had Barcelona played at the Camp Nou, they wouldn't have enough seats to honor that agreement and allot what they're supposed to allot to the visiting team. So whether we go back to the Camp Nou or not, the decision was already made that the Champions League match against PSG was going to be played at Montjuic. Now, what's the new news? Because I already told you all this. Well, the new news is that this is now officially confirmed. Today, the club announced this on their website and their social media outlets, confirming what I told you last week, that we will be playing at Montjuic. But people say, Mo, you make big stuff up, Mo. You're always lying, Mo. Well, here we go. I told you this last week, and now officially confirmed by Barcelona. Now, the last bit of news, we now know who the Barcelona Femini will be facing in the Women's Champions League. And these are the six matches or 6 teams that Barcelona will be facing. Bayern Munich, Chelsea, because it wouldn't be a Champions League if the Barca Femini do not play against the Chelsea women's team. Benfica, Roma, OH11, never heard of them. And then, of course, Paris FC, which is not PSG. It's the other Parisian team, which recently, the men's at least, recently got promoted to first division. I talked about them in a previous podcast a little bit. They've been around for a while, I think since the 70s or something like that. But they kind of like fell out of the first division, and they've been struggling. And then they got bought recently by LVMH, which are they mostly own what's called luxury brands like Dior, Prada, Louis Vuitton, Tag Heuer, and now they want to make their foray into football. And while they bought Paris FC a few years ago with the aim to get it promoted to first division, they've succeeded. Of course, they've teamed up with Red Bull because Red Bull knows how to build players since they're young in their academy. So they've teamed up with them, and now Paris FC are in first division. And now the women's team, I guess they're in first division as well. Well, they must be, right? Because they will be playing against the Barca Femini in the Champions League. All right, that is all the news for the first segment. Let's start with the comment section, and then we are going to talk about Barcelona's salary limit. Because bad news, it has dropped. All right, let's start with the comments. Let's see what everyone is saying. Let's see, where's my comments tab? There we go. Diamond, diamonds are forever. Says, hi Mo, hope we can keep this chat growing up to 30,000. And for Sunday, this game, Barcelona will win 4-0. And you will call me and say one of my friends said it. I hope so, my friend, on both ends. But let's not forget, Getafe is always, always, always a tough match for Barcelona. So I wouldn't, of course, I hope we win. I think we will win. But I don't know about the 4-0 because Getafe is always very, very difficult for Barcelona. Not because Getafe is this incredible team, not because Getafe has all these incredible players, not because Getafe's coach is this amazing tactician, not because they have all this talent. It's because Getafe, thanks to their coach, are, well, excuse my French, a piece of shit team. They play in a very dirty and shitty way. They like to just foul. Whenever someone sneezes on them or touches them, they go to the ground. They waste time. I mean, I think last season, out of the 90 minutes of match time, the ball was only rolling, or the game was only flowing for, I think it was like 50 minutes or something like that, or 40-something minutes, which means half of the playing time, the official playing time, was wasted. Because that's what Getafe do, right? They look to disrupt the flow of their opponents, not with defensive tactics, not with some great strategy they come up with, but by playing dirty and being, well, a piece of shit team, all thanks to, well, their piece of shit coach. So, I'm not as confident, again, not because Getafe are amazing, but because their coach, Portalas, is a piece of shit coach that has no business in first division, neither him nor his bottom of the barrel team. I mean, the way they play, it's like a third, fourth division team. Or not even. It's like your local neighborhood team who all they do is just like foul, they kick people, and it's just a shitty team. It's honestly an embarrassment for La Liga. Bordalas and his team are an embarrassment for La Liga. A league that aspires to be the best in the world cannot be having teams like that. I'm sorry, but and the day that Getafe get demoted will be the day I celebrate like we won the Champions League. Raul Davidson says, hello, Mo. It is always my pleasure to be here with you again. You are the best. Thank you for always giving us the best in terms of Barca news. Keep up the good work, and God bless you, Vizca Barca. God bless you, my friend, and all of you watching. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your comment. And then Sila says, hello, Mo. Your videos are always amazing. Keep doing how you're doing, my man. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for those words, and thank you for watching. Zeke says, Mo, how are you doing, bro? Any updates on Balde? I think Martin did a good job against Newcastle, but I still miss Balde's flair. Balde, it was, 5-6 weeks that he was going to be out, so we're halfway there, I think. Yeah, halfway there, so another 2-3 weeks. But yeah, I mean, Gerard Martin is great defensively, but of course he lacks that attacking flair that Balde has. You know, Balde can do both, thankfully, can defend and attack. Gerard Martin is more of a defensive. He truly is a left back, right? Balde is more of a fullback. So yeah, that's what we miss. But great match by Gerard Martin against Newcastle. I was very happy with his performance. And Mahmoud says, hey Mo, have you noticed how Flick's highline trap has forced the opponent focus on bringing the line instead of playing their natural style? Yeah, of course. And this is very important. Why? This is something that Johan Cruyff always talked about. May he rest in peace, back when he was Barcelona's coach. He always believed and talked about forcing your opponent to play your way. Right? This is something that some of our previous coaches lacked, like Valverde, Setien, Koeman, Xavi. They all lack this. They always try to play how their opponents play, respond to how their opponent plays. Oh, the opponent plays this way, so we're going to modify our strategy to play this other way to counter it or respond to it, right? And I used to have people all the time tell me, Flick needs to do this. You know, and I said this before, and I'll say it again. No. You need to develop your own style, your own system, your own identity. You need to keep practicing it, and perfect it. Well, nearly perfect it. There's no such thing as perfect, right? And get it as best as you can to the point where it's your opponents who have to study your style and try to come up with ways on how to defeat it. So you should get to a point where you're forcing your opponent to play your game, not the other way around. Not like, let me see what I can. No. Fuck them. You're going to play how I want you to play because that's how good I am. I'm going to force you to abandon your identity and you're going to play in response to my identity because that's how good I am. That's the mentality of should be of every Barcelona coach and of every Barcelona team. And thankfully, we have that with Hansi Flick. All right, let's go on to the next bit of news, and then we'll continue with the comments. But let's talk about Barcelona's salary limit, because I do have bad news, ladies and gentlemen. Barcelona's salary cap has been officially reduced. Now, as I reported before, I told you today, Friday, La Liga was going to release the new salary limits because, of course, June 30th, the end of fiscal year, all the clubs turn over their financial paperwork. La Liga looks at it, every single club, how much money they made, how much money they spent, whether they ended the year with profit or losses or broke even. And then, once the summer transfer market closes, La Liga also looks at what clubs spent on. They made any signings? Did they offload any players? Did they make any money off those offloadings? Did they take some of the salaries off their wage limit through loaning players or selling them? And they do all the math, the formula, and they release the salary limits for every single club in first division. Other divisions too, I think second division too, but we don't care about that. Now, today, La Liga announced the salary cap for every single club, and Barcelona's has dropped from 463.6 million euros, again, 463.6 million euros, down to 351.3 million euros. So Barcelona's salary cap has been reduced by approximately 112 million euros. And that, of course, is a big, big hit. Now, if you don't know what a salary cap is, or if you're like, Mo, what the hell are you talking about? Salary cap is the maximum Barcelona, or any club, of course, but here we're talking about Barcelona. It's the maximum Barcelona can spend on everything. All the first team players' salaries, Hansi Flick's salary, the assistant coaches, the fitness coaches, the reserve team, Barça Athletic, and their coaches and players. The entire academy, so every team in the academy, their coaches and their players, Juvenil A, Juvenil B, Alevín, etc., etc., etc. And, of course, Barcelona Femení, their coaches and their players. And all the sporting sections. We're talking about basketball, indoor football, handball, hockey. Well, it's like, what is it called? It has another name. It's hockey, but on skates. Skate hockey? I don't freaking know. I don't like hockey. So 351.3 million euros is the maximum that Barcelona can spend on everything, on all the salaries of everything I just mentioned, which of course is not a lot. And this affects what? The financial fair play and whether we can achieve the one-to-one. Because when do you stop being under the one-to-one? Is when you get past your salary cap. So right now, our salary cap, the maximum we can spend is 351 million euros. If Barcelona's total of all salaries is 400 million, that means we're above our salary cap. And when you're above the salary cap, what happens? You're no longer under the one-to-one rule. Why? Because financial fair play is meant to protect clubs from overspending, right? So if you're spending more than what you're allowed to spend, the way to curb that is La Liga saying, okay, well, we can't tell you how to spend your money, but we're going to make it difficult for you to spend your money by taking you off the one-to-one rule. And that way, I'm going to make your ability to sign players much more difficult in an effort to prevent you from signing players, in an effort to prevent you from spending more and more money, because you're clearly spending your money in a dangerous way. So this is how it's all connected. I hope this clarifies things, because I get these questions a lot. Mo, what's the salary limit? Mo, what's the financial fair play? And Mo, what's the one-to-one? Blah, blah, blah. Hopefully this kind of brings it all together and explains it better. If you still have questions, of course, let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this when it ends, and I'll try to explain it in a better way. Now, La Liga has explained this drop in the salary limit. First, let's look at the statements of Javier Tebas, who had the following to say, and then we'll talk about the statements of Javier Gomez, who's the corporate director of La Liga, who had more of an explanation of why the salary limit has been reduced by 112 million euros for Barcelona. Now, Tebas said, Barca have shown they can sign players. They've built a squad with what they have, winning La Liga and bringing in talent from their academy. It's not mandatory to buy big. The start of their season proves they're doing well. So here, not really an explanation. It's more of Javier Tebas saying, hey, Barcelona are doing the right thing. And look at them. They're doing well despite not, going out there and signing the Haalands and Julian Alvarez's of the world, right? Now, let's look at the actual explanation on why Barcelona salary limit dropped by 112 million euros. And this comes from Javier Gomez, the corporate director of La Liga, who had the following explanation. Barca's 112 million coincides with the 100 million euro from VIP boxes. One auditor said yes, then another said no, which took away the 100 million. That's the cause and effect. I'm convinced they're going to recover. It's a world-class club. It's going to get through this, 100% sure. But it's going to take work. Barca is operating without its stadium, where it is losing a lot of revenue. It has to deal with a difficult situation that it was already facing and is now playing with its stadium closed. We are talking about 70 to 80 million euros a year that is not taken in. The question is whether this will happen in 3 or 12 months. So there's the explanation, because I was already seeing when this was announced. Oh, La Liga, they're after Barcelona. They're trying to destroy Barcelona. It's Real Madrid. It's Florentino Perez. All these, smart asses on social media right away. Oh, conspiracy. It's not conspiracy, it's basic math. Barcelona had factored in 100 million euros of revenue from selling the VIP seats. Turns out we can't account for those 100 million seats. Why? Because our stadium is not even open. So that's 100 million euros less in our revenue column. Also, we're playing without a stadium. We're playing at the Stadio Johan Cruyff with a capacity of 6,000 people versus the Olympic Stadium, who has a capacity of 50,000 people, or the Camp Nou, that had 90+ thousand people capacity once it was open. Cause and effect, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a conspiracy. Nobody's trying out to get Barcelona. All these smartasses on social media. Conspiracy, that's it. Look, Florentino met with Javier Tebas and decided to screw Barcelona because they're winning. Not everything is a conspiracy. Now, of course, don't get me wrong. The financial fair play of La Liga is trash. It's one of the strictest in Europe. And as a result, it has screwed over all the clubs. But this is not, Florentino Perez and Javier Tebas trying to get Barcelona. Let's get a little bit more serious. I know conspiracy theories sell. If I came here and talked about, this is Javier Tebas, I'm sure I would get a lot more views and likes. But I'm not here to sell you green smoke screens. I'm here to tell you, why this is this. This is cause and effect. Laporta and the board dropped the ball. They signed that VIP deal last second out of desperation because they didn't know how to register Dani Olmo, a player that we didn't need to begin with. And as a result, they didn't look ahead. They didn't plan ahead that deal might not even count to begin with because the stadium is not even open. But no, let's blame Florentino Perez. Let's blame Javier Tebas. Let's make it all a conspiracy rather than, let's scratch beyond the surface and try to understand what's going on. Just a lot more easier to talk out of your ass than it is to actually rationalize what's happening. Anyways, that is the bad news, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get back to the comment section, and then we'll talk about Vlahovic. Oh, by the way, actually, I wanted to share with you this. Of course, this is not related to Barcelona, but maybe we'll get back a little bit. I want to show you. So this goes to the point how La Liga's financial fair play is trash. Again, it's not a conspiracy against Barca. It's just trash in general. But this is actually what the La Liga salary caps are right now for the 2025-2026 season. Sevilla FC, 22 million. That's crazy, by the way. Athletic Club de Bilbao, 126 million. Remember, this is the team that gave Nico Williams a 10-year contract, making a crap load of money. How are they going to pay that contract? I have no idea. This is what I meant when I said the only winner there was... Actually, there are no winners. Barcelona obviously missed out on Nico. I guess time will tell whether that was a win or a loss. Athletic Club gets stuck with a long-ass contract that I don't know how they're going to afford. And even though Nico does get a crap load of money, he pretty much just threw his career away. So there was no winners in that situation. But anyways, Barcelona, 351 million. Espanyol, 56 million. So pretty much what we paid for Joao Garcia is like half their salary cap. That's crazy. Real Madrid, 761 million. Atletico Madrid, 326 million. Real Betis, 125. Levante, 35. Real Sociedad, 128. Mallorca, 60. Valencia, 91. Osasuna, 54. Deportivo Alavés, 40 mil. Elche, 40 mil. Villarreal, 173 mil. Celta, 91. Rayo Vallecano, 47. Real Oviedo, this was a little bit of a surprise to me. I mean, obviously 45 mil is incredibly low. That's like the salary of maybe one or two players at Barcelona. But hey, for a newly promoted team, that's actually not bad. Girona, 75. And then Getafe, 50 mil for a total of 2.7 billion euro salary cap. I don't even want to look up the Premier League salary caps because I'm sure it blows La Liga salary caps out of the water because, of course, well, La Liga's financial fair play, thanks to Javier Tebas, is absolute trash. All right, now let's go back to the comment section. Excuse me. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Where did we leave off? Where did we leave off? There we go. This is where we left off. Jordan says, good to see you, Mo. With this kind of performance, do you think Barca can win the Champions League even though they're still early to stay with the team of the week? I think Pedri or Frankie should have a spot. For sure. Yeah, I would definitely include Pedri or Frankie. More Pedri than Frankie because I thought he had a better match. Not that Frankie had a bad match. Which, by the way, is what I said in the post-match live analysis. I said Frankie had a good match. I would have liked to see what Casado did, and everybody was what are you talking about? Frankie was great. But at 1 second did I say he was bad. I don't know if the school system has failed a lot of people out there who just cannot comprehend a simple sentence, or whether people don't want to comprehend the sentence just because they want to argue against an imaginary point that they made up in their own mind. Like if I say, I love apples, and someone is like, oranges suck. And I was like, but I didn't talk about oranges. No, but I want to argue against oranges, and since you didn't mention oranges, I'm going to pretend that you mentioned oranges just so I can get my point across that I hate oranges. And it's like, all right, bro, you do you. Sila says, Mo, 11 is the city, 11 where the beer Stella is from. Oh, Stella Artois. Very nice. So I'm guessing Belgium then, right? How do you say it, by the way, if you know? Is it living? Living? No, but that's cool. That's really interesting. Thank you for letting me know. Edward says, wouldn't it be cool if Rashford wins a couple of trophies this year and Barca keeps him? He says, I would rather be coached by a Man United goalkeeper coach than Ruben Amorim. That actually would be cool. And I'll tell you what. Why? Because everything that Ruben Amorim said in the media about Rashford, I thought it was unprofessional. I mean, you can think as a coach that your player, Rashford or whomever, is the biggest trash in the world, worst player in the world. You don't go out there and say that on a mic. You know, you could say other things more proper, like, you know, he's just not a good fit. It's not what we're looking for. But to say the things that Amorim said, it's kind of like the Napoli coach with, what's his name? Napoli, sorry, Atalanta's coach and, oh my God, why am I blanking on his name? He was considered for the left wing this summer for Barca. Forgot his name. There's the whole thing with the penalty kick, and he shouldn't have taken it or not taken it, and then he said all those bad things. And it's like, just don't do that, man. Like, if you want, you know, it's fine if Lookman. The whole thing with Lookman and his coach at Atalanta. You know, you can think the player is like the worst player ever and the biggest trash ever, but you don't say that to the press. You don't say it. You could, even if you want to be like, you know, oh, I'm a straightforward guy, I don't beat around the bush. That's fine. But again, you don't say that to the press. You can go to the player and be like, hey, player, I think you're the biggest trash in the world, and I don't want you on my team because you suck, that's fine, whatever. But you don't go to the press and repeat the same thing. You just don't do it, you know. You don't air out your laundry. You keep that behind closed doors. If you want to tell the player he sucks, tell the player he sucks. If you want to tell the player you want him out because he's garbage, tell the player. But you don't go say that to the press. And Ruben Amorim, I felt like he crossed the line. So yeah, it would be nice if Rashford ends up, having a great season because Barcelona would benefit from that, and that's the most important thing. And B, it would be like a big fuck you to Ruben Amorim, like. But anyways, Mustafa with the donation. Let's go. Mustafa says, does EPL have salary limit? How the heck Pedri didn't make UEFA Team of the Week? That's a good question. And I'm sure that EPL does. I cannot imagine they don't have a salary. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. EPL salary caps. Let me see if I can find the list. Oh, interesting. This says... And again, this is AI. I don't know how the EPL works because I don't watch the EPL. And if I do watch, it's random game matches here and here. But I'm not familiar with their financial fair play or anything because, I'm a Barca fan. I know how things work in La Liga. I know how things work at Barca. But according to the AI overview, it says the English Premier League does not currently have a formal salary cap. But clubs approved the introduction of a squad cost rule started in the 2025-2026 season. This rule will replace the profitability and sustainability rules and limit total spending on player wages, amortize transfer fees, and agent fees to a percentage of a club's revenue. So that's kind of similar to what La Liga does. Additionally, the league is discussing a more direct anchoring system, which would set a hard limit based on a multiple of the TV revenue of the lowest earning club, and a value of 5 times that figure was previously proposed. Interesting. So I guess they don't, if this AI overview is correct. Yeah. But here's the interesting thing about the Premier League. If you look at the salaries that the Premier League has, a lot of times they're lower than the salaries that Barca and Madrid pay. So even though the Premier League is out there blowing their money on transfer fees, freaking paying 80 million euros for a water boy and 95 for a towel boy and 100 million for a janitor, the salaries are still lower than what Barca and Madrid pay. And that's an interesting thing. So I guess that's where they save their money. Now, of course, that's on average. Of course, there's plenty of salaries in the Premier that are much higher than, but on average, the Premier League salaries are usually lower than Barca's and Madrid, even though the transfer fees are like fucking ridiculous. I mean, these guys are paying 80 million euros just if you have a heartbeat. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if you're good or not. It's like 80 million done. Now, if you're good, it goes up to 150. And if you're great, forget about it. It's 200. It's ridiculous the transfer fees that they pay. But anyways, let's see. Martin says, we've talked about so many strikers. Now Vlahovic, a bit before we make any attempts, another club is going to get him right under our nose until we sign a player and register him. No discussion. So, we have to discuss it. We're not going to discuss anything unless once it happens, then, well, there's nothing to talk about, right? We'll just wait for the news and be like, oh, look. It's like, hey, what lineup do you think is going to happen? No, fuck that. We're going to wait for the lineup to come out, and then we'll talk about what the lineup is. Like, we can talk about things. Edward Hamilton says, hi, Mo, did you notice Newcastle 5-4-1 morphed into 4-5-1? I beg to differ with you about Barca's highlight and outscoring their opponents. Clean sheets win leagues. No, outscoring teams win leagues, not clean sheets. Because what if 38 matches, right, is in the league? 38 clean sheets, but they're all draws, 0-0. That's 38 points. Can you win a league with 38 points? No, right? So it's not about clean sheets. It's about outscoring the opponent. Now, that also includes a clean sheet, right? Because you can have a clean sheet and score a goal, 1-0. Obviously, that still wins you. Or you can have a 5-4. Not about clean sheets. It's about outscoring your opponent, whatever the score is. Because clean sheets, it just doesn't mean anything. You can still tie with a clean sheet. And if you're just constantly tying and drawing, you're not going to win anything. Because nobody wins a league season with a bunch of draws. You need victories. In order to get a victory, That means outscoring your opponent. Clean sheet or not, you need to outscore your opponent in order to get the victory, in order to win the season. Mike Valencia says, sometimes around November, it's reported that Nike will release an iconic retro Barca kit as part of their 90s series. I think it was 05, 06. So the talks, and we talked about this in the summer when we were talking about kits and stuff. The talks about that it was for El Clásico, supposedly. It was going to be a special El Clásico kit that was based on the 05, 06 kit. More specifically, that match at the Bernabeu where Barcelona won 0-3 with Ronaldinho scoring 2 goals, and he gets that standing ovation at the Santiago Bernabeu. So the kit is supposed to be, El Clásico kit is supposed to be based on that moment, on that iconic moment where Ronaldinho scores those 2 goals and gets a standing ovation. And supposedly in the kit, they're going to have the minutes, the minutes of the 3 goals. I think it was 2 Ronaldinho, 1 Eto'o, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to have the minutes of each goal sewn into the kit. So, yeah, we've talked about this back in the summer. I saw the leak design. I don't know if that's official design, but this is what let me see if I can find it right now. I did not like it. I thought it looked like a little kid designed it. But let me see if I can find it right away. I have it saved on my computer, my hard drive, which is not this computer. I use a different computer to edit. This one is just for streaming, but I have it saved on the hard drive. But I'm trying to find it right now. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but yeah, we talked about this. It's in a previous video. If you go back, I'm sure you'll find the video and you can see the... Oh, there it is. Supposedly it's this one. I'll show you. Supposedly it's this one. So you see up here, 14, 58, 77. These are the 3 goals that Barcelona scored at the Bernabeu. 2 of them were Ronaldinho's. The third one was Eto'o's. And Barcelona won 0-3. Ronaldinho gets the standing ovation, and supposedly this is the kit. I don't like it. It looks lazy to me, but whatever. If you like it, great. I don't. I'm not a big fan. But anyways, let's get back to the news. Let's get back to the news. Because we do have to talk about Dusan Vlahovic, the 25-year-old Serbian center forward. Because today, in the Italian media, in the Gazzetta dello Sport, sì, bellissimo, they were stating that Deco has his eyesight set. Yeah. Anyways, he wants Vlahovic. Let's put it that way. He wants Vlahovic. Now, of course, as you know, summer of 2026 is when Robert Lewandowski's contract will expire with Barcelona. By then, he will be 38 years old, if I'm not mistaken, because I think his birthday is in June. And, of course, his contract expires June 30th. As such, as I mentioned a million times before, next summer is when Barcelona will hit the market in order to look for a replacement for Lewandowski. Because as of today, of course, things can always change in Barcelona, but as of today, September 19, 2025, there's no plans to extend the contract of Lewandowski. Not because Lewandowski sucks or he failed, not at all. I think he's been a great signing for us so far. I think money well invested. But of course, again, he will be 38 years old, and you cannot have your starting center forward be 38 years old. Now, you can maybe have a backup center forward who's 38 years old who can come in the last 10 minutes, kind of like Luke de Jong. And I'm not saying Luke de Jong was 38 when he was here. I can already see the comments. Mo, he was not 38. What are you talking about? But, you know, someone that can come in the last 10 minutes and hopefully score you a goal and win you the match in the last minute, right? But with the salary that Lewandowski makes, that's not a salary you want for someone who's on your bench, right? So, Lewandowski's salary, I think it's like 15 or 16 million, something like that. Something incredibly high. So that's not really a salary you want for a substitute. So between his age, how much he earns, there's no plans to renew Lewandowski again as of today. Things can change. Maybe down the road, Deco thinks, there's nothing out in the market. Let's extend them another year, even though they say the backup plan is to bring in Harry Kane, right? Because next summer, Harry Kane will be entering the final year of his contract, and Bayern is already looking for the future, and they would be willing to let Harry Kane go. So if Barcelona cannot find a single center forward that they can sign, Harry Kane would be the backup, where they would do kind of like a Lewandowski deal, right? Bring him for 2-3 years as a temporary solution, as a short-term solution, while Barcelona continues to recover financially speaking. And then once Harry Kane's contract is up, bring someone, a big name or someone very promising, someone in his prime. You get it. You get the idea. Now, that's the backup plan, Harry Kane. Of course, the A plan is to find an actual center forward who's in his prime, who not can only come to Barcelona and hit the ground running, but someone who can be at Barcelona for many, many years. That way we don't have to talk about a center forward every single summer. Now, of course, Vlahovic, Inter Vlahovic, someone we've talked about a lot in the summer because Barcelona were tracking his situation, trying to see what will happen, because right now he's in his final year of his contract. Now, Juventus were trying to offload him during the summer because, again, he's entering the final year. He does not want to renew or did not want to renew with Juventus. So Juventus were like, all right, well, if you can't renew this guy, we got to sell him because next summer he'll become a free agent. Well, none of those happened. Vlahovic did not renew. Vlahovic was not sold. As such, Vlahovic right now is in the final year of his contract with Juventus. And next summer, he will become a free agent. Now, Vlahovic so far is off to a good start. This season, he has scored 4 goals and provided 1 assist in 4 matches. Not bad. 1 goal per match. Not bad. And given that he will be a free agent next summer, he's 25, means he's in his prime, many years ahead of him. It's reported that Deco will be trying to sign Vlahovic for Barcelona. Now, what's the problem? The problem is his salary is a little high. It's 10 million euros net, which means that's 20 million euros gross for Barcelona, because half of it goes to taxes. And the question will be, can Barcelona offer that salary? Now, of course, there's other clubs who are also interested in him, like Atletico Madrid. They're saying Manchester United. I'm sure other clubs will come knocking too, because who doesn't want a free player? Well, free, no transfer fee. They're still probably going to have to pay a signing bonus because there's no such thing as free. When players are free agents, you still have to pay them a signing bonus and usually a higher salary than what you would usually pay them if you paid a transfer fee. Why? Because they're like, hey, man, you didn't spend on the transfer fee, so you're going to have to spend some of the money that you saved on me, right? So we'll see. We'll see if this would be a viable option for Barcelona. Again, the good thing is no transfer fee, but we'll see how much the player will want as far as salary, signing bonus, and all the other good stuff. And of course, I'm curious to hear, do you guys like Dusan Vlahovic as an option? Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this when it ends. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? Dennis says, lol, our salary cap goes down every year while Real goes up every year. This is crazy. No matter how much money we make, it never enough. That's actually not true. Our salary cap has been increasing. For example, it was last summer, it was 426 million euros. Then in the winter, because the salary cap changes after every transfer market. So when the summer transfer market closes, the salary cap gets updated. When the winter summer transfer market closes, it gets updated again. So last summer, when the market closed, it went up to 426 million. Then this winter, it went up again to 463 million. And now it's gone down. So that's not true that it goes down every year. In fact, February of 2023, it was at 204 million. 200. That's crazy. That's the lowest it's ever been. 200 million. And again, it went up to 400 and 460, and now it's gone down. So no, it's not true that every year it continues to go down. Now, as far as Madrid, it's they don't have the debt that we have. Okay, Madrid does not owe 1.5 billion euros. That's why their salary cap is much better than ours. Again, it's math. This is not a conspiracy. So now Florentino paying Javier Tebas or whatever the hell people want to make up just to justify the bullshit and get the likes. Real Madrid don't have 1.5 billion euros in debt. Real Madrid did not have a guy named Bartomeu who took over the club and just completely ruined it financially. Real Madrid don't have a stadium that's shuttered and it's not making them a single euro. You know, that Bernabeu is open at full capacity and making them a crap load of money. So that's why Real Madrid have a higher salary cap. Again, it's not a conspiracy. Basic math. Noob Master says, Mo, do you believe that Marc Bernal might take Frank's position in the second half of the season? I don't know if the second half, and I say that not because I don't believe in Bernal. I say that because, of course, his injury. He spent a whole year out. Incredibly delicate injury, you know, a torn ACL with a damaged meniscus. That's very, very serious. A very serious injury. Surgery. So, I don't know about the second half of the season because I see, you know, Flick taking it easy with Bernal. You know, bringing him in slowly, giving him a little bit minutes here and there, increasing him a little bit. So, I don't know about the second half of the season, but for sure eventually. You know, maybe next season. Because I think Bernal is just, that kid is special, right? So, will he take over Frank's position? 100%, because he's special. When? I don't know because of his injury. So I think it's a matter of time. So it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So it could be maybe the second half of the season. I hope so because I want to see Bernal in action. But I would rather be cautious with him because he's only 18. You know, he has a very long career ahead of him. The worst we could do is completely ruin that career by rushing him back, right? So we'll see. We'll see. Glenn says, is that for sure with the conversion from pounds to euros? What are we talking about? Are we talking about the salary cap? The salary cap was all in euros. I don't know about pounds. McBarca says, Barca are still paying massive salaries. I thought we was broke. We are broke, and we are paying massive salaries. I guess the two are not mutually exclusive. Shin, my man, I'm so sorry. I just noticed your donation. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. But Shin, always with his generous donations. Thank you so much, my friend, for always supporting the channel. But Shin says, have to agree, bro. That special edition kit simply looks like they went to Party City, bought some party streamers, and simply glued them to the shirt. Anyways, happy weekend, bro. Hope it's blessed. I agree. Does Party City still exist? Man, for those of you who don't live in the U.S., obviously you can figure it out what Party City is. It's literally a chain of stores all over the country that sell party supplies, right? Balloons, confetti. I think they make piñatas, invitations, anything related to parties they sell. Cups, tablecloths made of plastic. They're terrible for the environment. Halloween costumes, you name it. But does Party City still exist? Has that place not gone bankrupt? I'm surprised because I feel like all those chains have just been completely demolished. But yeah, that kid looks terrible. It looks terrible. It really does look like a kid. Like the Nike guy, the designer, he got like an email probably late at night. Hey, we need you to design a retro kit honoring this match, 0-3. Against Madrid in the 05-06. He's like, fuck. But I really want to watch this Netflix show. And then he just looks around and he sees his kid on the table with a piece of paper and has crayons. And he's like, doing all these crazy lines. Done. Scans it, emails it back. I got the design, guys. I've been thinking about this for weeks. And bam. He gets to watch his Netflix show. Nike get to put something out. And us, the fans, we get suckered into paying. I'm sure it's going to be more expensive than a regular kit because it's a retro kit or a special edition kit for a design that probably a 5-year-old made. Carlos says the other Barca sports should be... Oh, wait. Why am I still on this page? On the Vlahovic page. Carlos says the other Barca sports should be separated. That is completely insane. Shame on La Liga. So there is an argument for that. And Barca, in fact, have been in talks with La Liga to change the rules. That way they can separate the other sports from the first team. But I don't know if I agree with it. Because at the end of the day, what's financial fair play for is to protect the clubs from overspending themselves into bankruptcy and then ceasing to exist, which has happened a lot all over the world, all throughout history of football. Clubs who just overspend, and next thing you know, they're like, oh, crap. So they file for bankruptcy, the club closes its doors, and it forever vanishes, right? That's what the financial fair play is for, right? If they see you're spending too much, you're spending over what you're supposed to be spending, or healthy spending, financial fair play kicks in and says, hold on a minute, stop the crazy spending or you will cease to exist. Which, of course, begs the question, where the hell was the financial fair play when Bartomeu was president? But anyway, that's a separate topic. So if the financial fair play is there to protect clubs from overspending, and you don't include the other sporting sections, that's still spending. So what if your spending goes rampant in the other section and you're spending like crazy and making all these crazy signings and blah, blah, blah. In your first team, you're spending in a healthy way. Okay, great. You're spending healthy way the first team so you can meet the financial fair play and you can get the one-to-one rule. But over here, you're spending like crazy. You still can ruin your finances and you can still go bankrupt. So I see the merits of counting all sections because at the end of the day, that's what you're spending, right? You can't say, for example, you're spending, I got a good, they say you shouldn't spend more than 30% of your salary on rent. So you're like, yeah, look, I'm only spending 20% on my rent. That means I'm being financially responsible. Meanwhile, you got a car payment that's $5,000 a month. And you're eating out every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it's like, all right, cool. Yeah, you're responsible with how much you're spending on rent, but you're being super reckless with all these other things. So you're not being financially responsible, right? You're still blowing your money like crazy, and now you're broke. So I wouldn't say shame on La Liga. I think it's the more coherent thing to do. Anyways, let's do the last bit of news. And then we are going to talk. I guess I keep my glasses on because the last bit of news includes statements, because I want to talk about Wojciech Szczęsny's statements, where he accepted his new role as a substitute. And I'll tell you why I want to focus on these statements, even though it might not be like, ooh, breaking news, oh my gosh, Szczęsny, right? But let's look at those statements, and then you'll see why I want to talk about them. Now, this is what Wojciech Szczęsny said in regards to his new role as a substitute after being, of course, our starting goalkeeper last season. He said, I'm a backup, and barring any surprises, I'll continue to be one. My role this season is to prepare Joan Garcia as best I can for matches. Listen to this. My role this season is to prepare Joan Garcia as best as I can for matches. I think he's a goalkeeper with incredible potential, who is already among the best in Europe physically. I'm very proud to play this role. I prepared for it when I signed my new contract, and I'm not disappointed. Joan lacks experience at the highest level, and that's something he needs to work on. I'll try to help him maintain a consistent level throughout the season. It's not easy to play every 3 days under so much pressure. It's something he needs to learn. I hope I can contribute to his success. So Wojciech Szczęsny, in Polish. I always say Szczesny because when I said it correctly, people were like, "Bro, you're an idiot." Yeah, I'm crazy for saying it the right way. But anyways, Wojciech Szczesny saying not only accepted his role as a substitute, which is, as we've seen, is very difficult for a lot of players, especially someone like Szczesny, who was at the top for so long, was the starting goalkeeper for so many important clubs. So not only is he accepting his role as a substitute, but he's even taking upon himself to be like, my role is actually to help Joan Garcia. And this is important to be talked about because we need to appreciate everything Szczesny has done for the club. Because Szczesny had retired. He said, that's it, I'm done, no more football for me. I mean, on the outside, it looks like a great life, and I'm sure it is. You make a lot of money, you're famous, you travel, blah, blah. But it's also tough, right? You're constantly on the road, you're moving countries because you're changing clubs. Very few players stay at the same club. It's a tough life, right? No, to a certain extent. Obviously, the millions help. But the guy said, that's it. I'm done with football. He retires. He moves into Marbella. He's on the beach, sipping margaritas, smoking cigars. No care in the world. Doesn't have to practice or travel. If Barcelona knocks on his door and says, hey, our goalkeeper just got injured. We need your help. Now, remember, this guy has no obligation to Barcelona. He's not Spaniard. He's not a Catalan. He did not come up through the academy. He has zero affiliation to Barcelona. And yet, he leaves retirement. He could have had a cozy life on the beach in Marbella. It's beautiful. He leaves the retirement to come to Barcelona, to help Barcelona, when, again, he has zero obligation to Barcelona and zero relationship to Barcelona. But he leaves retirement. He leaves the great life to come help us out. He arrives, and it turns out he's a sub. It's going to be Iñaki Peña. Still doesn't care. Even though he just left retirement to come help us, and now he's a sub. Still doesn't care. He says, whatever. I'm here to help. If I can't be the starter, I'm going to help Iñaki. And that's what he does. The entire first half of the season, he helps Iñaki improve. Now, second half of the season, they're like, all right, you're up. Whatever I have to do. You want me a sub? I'll be a sub. You want me to be a starter? I'll be a starter. He starts. He becomes a starter. Wins 3 trophies with Barcelona. His contract expires, and now he could go back, sail into the sunset. 3 trophies, great season, back to the beach, back to smoking cigars and drinking margaritas. But Barcelona says, no, hold on. We still need your help. And the guy still says, fuck it, I'm here. What do you need me for? Oh, you're going to be a sub. Whatever. Oh, Joan Garcia, great goalkeeper, but he's young, he's inexperienced. Don't worry, I got you. I'm going to help him out. I mean, this guy is doing whatever he needs to do to help the club, to help the team, and to help Barca succeed. Whether it be as a bench warmer, whether it be as a starter, whether it be helping Iñaki, helping Joan, it doesn't matter. This guy is there to help Barcelona. And remember, he has zero obligation to do this. He has no relationship to Barcelona. So I think this needs to be talked a lot more about everything that Szczesny has done in such a short period of time, the sacrifice that he's done, coming back from retirement, helping us out last season. He's helping us out this season. I mean, that's pretty amazing to me. And this is why I wanted to mention it. I know it's just statements. It's not big breaking news. Barcelona was just signed Julian Alvarez, but I think this kind of stuff needs to be discussed because we got to give credit where credit is due. And I think it's a beautiful thing what Szczesny has been doing for us and continues to do for us. So I really wanted to take this moment and just appreciate everything the Polish goalkeeper has done for our beloved club. All right, that is all the news. Let's go back to the comment section, and then we will wrap up and Shin with another donation. Thank you so much, my friend, for your generosity. But it says, if you look up teammate or team player or humility in the dictionary, text picture is right by it. Humility in this sport is ultra rare. King, 100% I agree with you. Absolutely agree. Again, remember, this was not like a goalkeeper whose whole life has been, second goalkeeper or a substitute. This guy was probably at the highlight of his career, he was probably top 10 goalkeepers in the world or in Europe. And I mean, he's been at some pretty big clubs. He's played everything there is to play. And to go from that and to just accept his role to like, dude, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. Like, you want me to start, I'll start. You want me to be a bench player, I'll be a bench. You want me to mop the locker room, I'll mop the locker room. Whatever you need, I got you, bro. This is not someone who, with a chip on his shoulder, was like, nah, I was a star of my team, so I better be the star here, or don't even talk to me. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to know anything. I mean, you're 100% right. Talk about team player who does whatever he needs to do to help the team. It's not about him. It's not about him being the hero. It's not about him being the starter or the star. He's just whatever the club needs him to do, he'll do it. He'll gladly do it because, well, he's all about the team. So I agree 100%. And again, mad respects to Tech, who has won us overall, I think. So I got nothing more to say. Jorge Cerda says, I know you don't like Frankie. I do like Frankie. I don't know why people keep saying that. I mean, just because I might say, hey, he didn't perform here, from that. It's not about like or dislike. If I don't like a performance, doesn't mean I don't like the player. I don't know these guys. I've never met these guys. I've never talked to them. But anyways, Jorge Cerda says, I know you don't like Frankie, but I feel like he still has more to give the squad, especially on his last year of contract and serious eyes from other leagues, cough Premier League. I'm okay with Frankie staying if he obviously reduces his salary, because I feel like the salary that he's been getting so far is just not up to par to the performances he's been giving us. Last season was spectacular. Last season, Frankie earned every single euro of his salary. Even, well, actually, first half he was mostly injured, wasn't he? So I guess the second half of the season, he earned every single euro he got from the club, every single penny. Past seasons, I don't know if I could say that, right? Because before Flick, Frankie was very inconsistent. Sometimes he'll give you great matches. Sometimes he'll give you terrible matches. So that's my problem with it. Now, if he reduces his salary, by all means. But then what worries me is, of course, what's going to happen with Bernal. Is Frankie... Because, if you keep Frankie and you keep paying him a high salary, you're going to have to eventually use him. You cannot just keep him on the bench. You're going to want to use him because you're going to try to get your money's worth, right? And does that mean Bernal gets now less minutes? Even though, I think Bernal has more than what it takes to win a starting position. So I'm okay with him staying as long as he reduces his salary. And if he leaves, I'm also okay with that because I know we have other options, right? Now, ideally, of course, we would want Frankie to stay until Bernal is ready. And then, Bernal can take over. But of course, it's not gonna happen like that because Frankie's not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna agree to sign for one more season until Bernal is ready to take over my spot. If he renews, he's gonna want a decent sized contract, 3-4 years. It's not gonna be like, okay, yeah, I'm okay to stay in the season, until Bernal is ready. Players just don't work like that. Let's see. Nathan Ford says, what I like to see is the 1999 retro kit when Rivaldo won the Ballon d'Or instead of the 05-06. Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. That would be a good idea. Yeah, actually would really like that. And maybe have something, how they added to the retro kit the minutes of every goal, or at least that's what the plan is, right? We don't know what the final version of the kit will look like. But maybe they can include in this special edition, something that references the Ballon d'Or, right? So yeah, I like that idea. I like it. And thank you for your donation. And Carlos says, I feel like Frankie just holds the ball for too long and he doesn't give you those special passes. He just spins around and passes side to side. I might be wrong, but it's my opinion. He does hold the ball sometimes a little bit too long. That's why I say Frankie is a player that thrives more in space because, when he has space, he can maneuver, he can run with the ball, he can drive forward, he can make those runs into the box. He really thrives in that. But sometimes his ability to do that becomes a problem when the opposing team completely closes the space, because when the spaces are completely closed, you need fast, right? Fast passes, one touch, bam, 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 in order to create space with your fast passing, right? Because a ball is always going to be faster than a human. So when you have really tight spaces, you want to pass the ball quick, and that way create space by moving the ball so fast that you cause cracks in the defensive block, right? Because now, back in the day, it used to be 1v1 defending. Now it's more of block defending, right? The whole team defends as one big block. And if you pass the ball to this side, the whole block moves to this side. If you pass it to that side, the whole block moves to that side. So by passing the ball quick, you're causing the block to go fast, side to side, up, down, and in that quick movement of the block, someone somewhere is gonna either lose focus or miss a beat, and someone in the block is gonna fuck up when you're causing them to move fast. And that's when an opening happens, and bam, you exploit it right away. But versus if you're just holding on to the ball, the block is just gonna stand there. Oh, I ran to the right. Okay, block move with you. right? You want it moving quick, so a crack opens up and exploit it. Let's see. James says, "You so stupid in thinking De Jong is one of our best players." My friend, there's no need for name calling. If you disagree, that's fine. But let's be civilized. Let's be mature adults. Let's be people with high intelligence, if you get my drift, to where we can be exposed to different opinions and still be able to debate them without name calling. I hope that helps. Paul Diaz says, "What's good, Mo? Have you heard of 16-year-old Mexican Gilberto Mora? Have you seen his talent? And if so, what do you think?" I have not, but thank you for bringing it up. I will definitely look him up. Where does he play? Let me see. Gilberto Mora. Gilberto Mora. Let's see. Born in Mexico. Attacking midfielder. Born in 2008. Man, these players, they really make you feel old. You're like, fuck, 2008. I mean, it's kind of like when we looked at Destiny. Born in 2014. That's crazy, man. Talk about like players making you feel old. Let's see. He plays in Club Tijuana. Okay, Los Cholos. Nice. I have not seen him, but thank you, my friend. Thank you for bringing him up. I will definitely look him up. Let's see. Marcus says, "Hey, Mo, honestly, despite everything Frankie's doing, I can honestly tell you that Bernard is going to be the best Marc Bernal is going to be the best midfielder Barca has ever had. He has the potential. He has the potential. I'll tell you that. And I hope we're both right, because have you seen the size of Bernal? My God, man. And despite that, he is still pretty quick. You know, with Boozy, he was quick with the ball despite him being tall, but he was still like a twig, right? But Bernal is just as tall, just as quick, but this guy is like a freaking bull, man. It's crazy. It's like Boozy on steroids, muscle-wise, not talent-wise. Let's chill. I'm not saying Bernal is better than Boozy. Not saying that. I see Boozy, one of our best midfielders ever. But Bernal he's looking like has a lot of potential, for sure. Nima says, "Hello, Mo. Random question. Is it mandatory for La Masia players to attend the school in La Masia if there is one, or do they have option to go to other schools of their choice?" I'm not 100% sure about the answer to this question, but I know if you move in, you do have to attend their school. And that, of course, happens for players who are from other regions, not from the city of Barcelona. It could be from, somewhere else in Catalonia that's far, or some other parts of Spain, or obviously other parts of the world. Because they're kids, they move in, and it becomes a what's called like a I'm blanking on the word boarding school, right? They live in La Masia, they attend school in La Masia, they train in La Masia, they do everything in La Masia, right? Now I don't know if that applies to the kids who live in Barcelona, if they also have to attend La Masia school. I can't imagine you would have to force them, but I'm not 100% sure. But I know that you do if you live at the academy in La Masia, because they also have obviously living quarters. Let's see. Assam says, "Hi, Mo. I'm watching you from Toronto for the last 5 years. God bless." Well, thank you, my friend. But I don't think the channel's been around for 5 years. But I get the sentiment. I appreciate you. Richard White says, "The salary cap thing in La Liga is straight BS. No wonder La Liga is dying. We have problem clubs who just promoted spending like crazy." Yeah, it's definitely a problem. I'll say that. I don't think that it should completely go away, because, again, it is a system to protect the clubs, but it needs a lot of work, man. It needs to be improved. It needs to be, tweaked, because, yeah, it's killing the sport. It's killing the league. Ragnar says, "You will respect the young when he's gone." Well, no need, my friend. I already respect him. Again, just because I might disagree on other things doesn't mean I dislike him or disrespect him. I was like, when did people become so sensitive when you cannot do any criticism, or all of a sudden it's like, oh, you hate him, you dislike him, you don't respect him. Like, God, can we be adults about this? Richard says, the salary cap thing. Oh, wait, already read that. I was trying to read your second comment. It says, thank God we have a good academy, or else we would have been cooked. Yeah, man. We have the best academy in the world. Thank God for our academy, because can you imagine having to sign Lamine Yamal from somewhere else? How much he would cost us today? Like we tried to sign him this past summer. 150, 180, 200, 220. You know, imagine having to sign Messi when he was in his prime, right? Imagine having to sign Iniesta, Xavi, Busquets. I mean, we're talking about, if you combine all those players, what, €1 billion between all of them? If we had to sign them from other clubs, we're blessed. We're blessed to have the best academy in the world. Thank God. Because the best talent we've had has been straight from the academy. So, yeah, we definitely are very, very blessed. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching, for your comments, for your likes, for your generous donations. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you do. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. And if you want to let me know your thoughts, your opinions about everything we talked about, make sure to drop a comment. I will be posting another video later tonight, a news video. So stay tuned to the channel. I will see you in that video. And as always, Cubarsi.